Well, shalom, shalom, everybody. Ariel Bar Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at where else www.koshertorah.com. It is our weekly class in meditation from my book, Walking in the Fire. It is the 15th of December, 2019. We're in a countdown to Chanukah. Chanukah, is that the way it's pronounced? Chanukah? They always spell it in English with a CH. So I can only guess that some people will always mispronounce it, but what can I say? If you look on my website, I always spell it just with an H because the letter is not ches, it's het. So it's Hanukkah. So that's the way we pronounce it. So maybe next week, Be'ezat Hashem, depending on, well, we're going to do the Arba Mitot Beit now from Walking in the Fire. And the next meditation that I want to cover will be what's called Yehud Ner, which is the meditation for Hanukkah. So I'm hoping that we're going to cover this tonight in a single setting. Hopefully I'll get it all done. And we'll take it from there. So that's what's going on. And of course, as you know, we also have our Protection from Evil class on Wednesday nights. Last week, I discussed the very important matter of physical self-defense, protection from evil. You know, people just don't get it. They really, really just don't get it. I mean, everybody wants all of this psychic, spiritual entertainment. They want the oohs and the ahs of the Kabbalah without the real meat and potatoes of what the packaging is all about. It's a shame. It's the same mistakes that people have always made. They look at the superficial and they never get the essence. What can I say? All right. So tonight, I'm going to continue our teachings in showing you practical and realistic, what are called in the language of the Arizal, which is really Chaim Vital, kavanot. The word kavanot in plural, actually means intentions, or the thoughts behind something. When you look in the prayers of the Shahar Kavanot, or the Sefer Kavanot, these are really written by Rabbi Chaim Vital. We call it the Kitvei Ha'ari, but it really should be the Kitvei Marchu, which is Moreno Rabbeinu Chaim Vital, but whatever. For this system, and of course, a couple centuries later, Rabbi Shalom Sharabi, known to us as the Rashash, he's the one who really put it into a form which we call the Siddur, the prayer book of the Rashash. And this has become the foundation of modern Sephardic Kabbalah. And the meditative systems of the Ari, again, Chaim Vital, are also practiced in other schools. And you will see that there is similar meditative prayer books that have come out of, the Aratzot Ashkenaz, the Ashkenazi traditions and the like. Ramchal, of course, has one. And there are other different schools. And you have some of the modern groups today that wanted to take a little bit of mishmash, column A, column B, and put it all together. And that's a salad that I don't think is really true to the flavor of what any of the ingredients was meant to be, but people do what they do. I have learned my lesson over many, many years where from a scholarly point of view, I want to say that this or that system is what it is, and people say, hey, it works for me. So, something works for you, whatever works for you. I know I'm being nebulous. You know why? Because I have a policy never ever to mention names, to critique any individual or organization publicly. I feel that fundamentally is immoral and wrong. For those of you who kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about, good. And if not, let it be. But I want to talk to you now how the whole system works. Because walking in the fire, that's the Rebbitzin. She's having her protein bar. She just got back from the gym. One good influence I've had on her is I get her to go to Gold's gym. So she just got back. She's eating her protein bar. She's sitting. She still doesn't want to come on camera. One of these days I'm going to flip it and embarrass her. But anyway, not today. She's tough. You know what she said to me the other night? I know you'd love to digress. She says to me, actually, just earlier tonight at the gym, she says to me, I want to work. I want to do more reps. I want to get big muscles. If the day ever comes when you see me come on here and I'm all black and blue, it means she beat me up. She's tough. She's European. Remember that. You never know. But all right, talking about meditation, it's all about yichud. Yichud is union, ma and ben, male and female. Sometimes, like HaArizal says, it comes with the makot. So, all right, just to get a little serious now. The kavanot system of what HaArizal developed is not unique to him. You can go back into earlier systems, literally dating back to Talmudic times, in which prayers were written, in which the words were counted. You have, obviously, if you ever read Psalms in Hebrew, you will see that many of the Psalms are all alphabetical, like Ashrei, Yishrei B'techa, right? Everything is going from Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Eshet Chayil, Miyimtza. All of these things are alphabetical. So there's codes in there, there's poetry in there. And this was very, very popular during the Talmudic time. A lot of the Qumranic, the Essenic, the Hechalot, the Merkava literature, all was this coded stuff. And the nature of the coding, obviously, continued. We have prayers in our traditional Jewish Siddur prayer book. Everybody knows. Obviously, we know the Shema prayer. And we know, of course, the Amidah, the Shemona Esrei. And even though we look at these prayers, and many people look at them from a rationalist point of view, you have to remember the sages of the Talmud, the masters who developed these systems, they were not Western rationalists as we are today. And the clear evidence of this is the entire body of their works that we find in Talmudic literature. Remember, these are the ones who always put together, when you look at a page of the Gemara, the Talmud, you find rational, analytical argument, and then all of a sudden it's shifting into these most bizarre, weird, archetypal stories. And it goes from one to the other, and you're going back and forth in this spiral movement. Well, these were the same guys who put together prayer. And when we look at different prayers, there is a coding to it. No one expounded on the coding, elaborated on the coding more than HaArizal. And HaArizal, of course, elaborates and built this entire system, again, the likes of which we have in Shara Kavanot and the Sefer Kavanot. Many of these I have taught throughout all of our classes. As for those of you who don't know, I have classes on all of the 8 gates of the Ari, Etz Chaim, Otzrot Chaim, and right now, in honor of Hanukkah, all of my courses for all people are 20% off. Anybody who wants to, a course can take it. And obviously for the students of our school, they get an extra 30% and they get 50% off. So it pays to be a member of our school for those of you who are interested in donating $50 a month. But getting back to the point, kavanot, the underlying code, what is it all about? Is it just about some philosophical metaphysics? Like this means that and that means that, and if you know it, oh, you're cool? If that's all that it was, as far as I'm concerned, I would find that rather boring. No. Prayer was always understood by our sages as being a wee bit more than just talking to God in heaven. If you think about it, talking to God in heaven, what really does that mean? Talking? Does God really need to listen to your words? God? What is God? Where is God? Heaven? Where is heaven? You see, we have this mythology, which has come down to us more so from non-Jewish sources, based upon, midrashic stories that we pretty much told our children. That, God's this guy with a little old, beard sitting on a cloud somewhere in a big throne, and he's in a place called heaven. You got all these angels around him. And he's out there listening to you, and if he hears you, yep. Okay, so you know something? Let's put this all to rest now. When we are saying our prayers, the purpose of the prayer isn't so much to talk to God, because in all due respect, God doesn't need to hear your words. Indeed, God, if I could say so, doesn't pay attention to your words. You, I, we are all energy. God is energy. It's the source of energy. Right? So we call it primal energy. As such, all energetic vibrations vibrate and fluctuate. And that's actually what prayers are. And that's actually how we communicate with higher realms and forces. It's all energetic. Well, energetic is not necessarily the words that I am speaking or you. Now, we can use words to transfer energy. That's what we call Shabbat Kodashim, holy names, or power words, abracadabra, I create what I speak, etc. But that is only when the words are actually spoken, if you will, with a specific power within them. That specific power within them is what prayer is supposed to be. Essentially, when you are praying, you're supposed to be creating the reality of that which you speak. It's not like you're asking God to do something for you. You are essentially creating the reality of that which you are seeking to do. So when we say words, very simple words we all know, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, there is a big code. What all of this is a fluctuation of spiral movement of energies. The energy comes down. It goes into the male component, which impregnates the female component, which then bonds to create the byproduct, the child, which then ascends. And only then when it ascends to the heights does it then come back down. I pretty much just described to you the Siddur of the Rashash and what the words mean when we do this. Kavanot of the bracha. I probably still have that PDF somewhere on KosherTorah.com. For those of you who are interested, go Google it on my website. Press the search bar. You'll see all the details there. The prayers are intricate. The prayers are a flow of energy. The only thing that I can really compare it to from my experience is Tai Chi Chuan. If any of you are familiar with the martial arts, you know that if we do a hard style, whether it be Chinese or whether it be Japanese, Korean, or anything like, right? You have your punches, right? You have all your moves and everything else, but that's all well and good. But then there's the flow of energy. So when you're doing your Tai Chi and it goes nice and slow, somebody once sent me a comment once. He says, yeah, Tai Chi is full of crap. I'm a brown belt. I could do this and that. And, I sit there and I listen to the naivete of people who say it like that. And I said, something? Let somebody like that go down to a Chinatown, whatever city. Let them find a real Tai Chi master and speak like that and see how fast the Tai Chi master will literally put him through a wall. Energy is energy. It transcends the power of fists and legs. Energy is energy. It transcends the power of words in the prayer book. Real prayer, the kavanot of the Ariel, is like the Tai Chi Chuan of prayer. So one of these simple meditations is this Arba Mitot Beit, which we're going to be talking about tonight. It's a very, very simple, at least for me, a simple meditation once you understand it. Now, let me tell you just a little thing about meditations or the kavanot, as you will see here. Let me show you this. This is from my book, Walking in the Fire, page 267. All right, this is the kavanot that we're going to do tonight, called the Arba Mitot Beit. And you could look at it and say, wow, that looks like really technical. I got all these words, and I got all these holy names, I got all this stuff, right? And I guess I'm supposed to read it, right? So like here, I'm looking at it. I'm reading from right to the left, one line. I'm reading the next line, right? Well, if you're sitting there reading it, you got the whole thing wrong. This is not a script that you're reading. It's a photograph that you look at. I'm sure you've all been to a museum, right? You know what a work of art looks like. When I was in France last year with Elle, I took the morning off and I went down to the Louvre. Right? What are you going to go and see in the Louvre? In spite of some of the world's greatest artwork, of course, Mona Lisa. Where else are you going to go and see? And I sat there and you looked at the Mona Lisa, and all right, and you have people looking, okay, I got it. I know what the Mona Lisa looks like. All right, and I could actually sit back. I don't have to be staring at it. But the picture, like this, is worth 1,000 words. When you understand what the kavanot really mean, then rather than sit there and reading line by line, as many people mistakenly do because they don't understand, you understand what the words mean, and you look at it as a picture as opposed to text. So again, this is not something that I read. This is something that I just need to look at. I'm going to do the kavanot of the Arba Mitot Beit right now as you watch. Time me. Done. How long did that take? Now, I do it like that because I know what it is. I know what it means. And I want to help you understand that what we're doing here is creating the reality of what this symbol means. So we're going to learn what this symbol means, and then you're just going to take your time to digest it. You're going to get it in your academic head. You're going to feel it in your psychic, energetic, auric body, and then you're just going to allow it to happen. You can't force psychic phenomena. It doesn't work like that. It's bigger than you. Remember, that which we know is the bina, the rational intellectual mind, it's inside the head. That which we call chokhmah, the sphere of chokhmah, which is the world of Atzilut, which is Kabbalah, is called a makif. It's a surrounding energetic soul. It actually floats around you. Yeah, it's your aura. But at the same time, it indicates a completely and comprehensively different form of consciousness. Just recently, in the last couple of days, I learned a brand new word. Who would have thought you could teach an old dog like me a new trick? But I learned, son of a gun. I learned the word grok, G-R-O-K. It comes from the famous science fiction novel, Stranger in a Strange Land kind of stuff, but it means that a psychic or an intuitive comprehension as opposed to a rational analytical comprehension. Rational analytical comprehension we call understanding. When you have an intuitive psychic embrace, we call that grokking. So this type of experience is a grokking. It's an experience that comes from a psychic awareness, which is very different from a rational awareness. Rational awareness, logical, makes sense. That intuitive is not sensible. It's not meant to be. Sense is limiting. Even Carl Jung wrote about this when he said that the domain of the spirit is above that of the intellect. And you can't drag it down. If you're doing that, you're like tearing it apart. You can't take something bigger and push it into something smaller. It just doesn't fit. But that's actually a lot of people want to do today with mysticism. And therefore they try to take Kabbalah and turn it into another philosophy, academic discourse like Gemara, and therefore miss the whole point. So, here is the kavanah. Is in my book, Walking in the Fire. You'll find the same image on page 267. And this specific meditation is performed in a number of times, but this is specifically at the beginning of the Amidah. We open up the Amidah, we say the famous words, Amonai sifatai tiftach ufi yigid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Hashem, right? אלוקינו אלוקי אבותינו, אלוקי אברהם, אלוקי יצחק, אלוקי יעקב, הקהל הגדול, גיבור נורא אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, שומר הכל, זוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. Go look that up. Be'ahava means in love. When we say the word be'ahava, in love, this is the time that we create love. Love is not this Valentine's Day romance. It's not the sexual attraction between, male and female. I'm not going to go in another direction. Stay politically incorrect for now. Real love is an attachment, a bonding, an energetic level. And when you are bonding with God, it's not some guy on a throne. It's the universe in total. You are literally becoming part of the greater whole. It's what we call yichud. And the word yichud means a union or a unity, bringing things together. Now, if you look at the universe is pretty much together right now. Always has been, always will be. But you and I don't necessarily see that. So where is the problem? In the reality in the universe or in our perceptions thereof? The answer obviously is in our perceptions. We don't see the universe as the whole that it is. God does, the universe does, but we don't. And therefore we act in ways which are incongruent with, if you will, the universal proper alignment and balance. And when we act in ways, feel in ways, discuss, talk, believe in ways which are incongruent with the natural order and flow of the universe, we create disharmony. The Bible calls such disharmony sin. And there are certain disharmonies that require tikkun. They require, an action upon us in order to restore that. Many a time, there are actions that we perform which mess up the energetic form of things. It is essentially, to use a symbol, as if we're stealing energy from the universe. Well, if you're in quote, again, this is only symbolically speaking, now you really can't steal it, but you're misapplying it. So how do you fix it? You have to reapply energy. Well, where does that energy comes from? It comes from you. That energy which comes from you is what we call surrendering to God. In biblical times, when people performed certain criminal activities, certain imbalances, there was a death penalty. There was a death penalty for crimes such as violating the Sabbath, we know, idolatry, adultery. Remember, the good old days when adultery was a capital crime? Yeah, called the Raven Nevermore. Well, all of these things were punishable by death. Why? Because the amount of energy that the performance of those activities took out had to be put back. We haven't had a biblical death penalty case in, a minimum of 2,000 years, okay? It's not something that any Bet Din, any Sanhedrin ever wanted to have to address, because we recognize the real energetic nature of these things, and therefore never truly went to, go after that type of social justice. Now, in spite of the fact that the Bible itself says all of these things, murder is a capital crime, and the punish, there's death penalty and all the rest of that stuff. But again, the Sanhedrin, it says the Gemara, any Sanhedrin that really, started executing people is called a bloody Sanhedrin. It wasn't something that we endeavored to do. We endeavored instead to teach people. But there were still these crimes. And these crimes, there were 4 methods of capital punishment in biblical Israel. And they were stoning, burning you at the stake, decapitation, and hanging. And the specific nature of each of these is described in the Talmud. It's not what people think. And we do not have an entire record, to the best of my knowledge, in any Talmudic literature where, again, these things were actually literally done. We recognized the biblical example, and we recognized the importance of the biblical example. Think about it. Skila, which is stoning. How do you think people got stoned in those days? Don't you make puns with drugs now? It wasn't like, they threw you up against the wall and they took like these little pebbles and threw them at you like you see in the movies. No. Made it very clear. They dug a big pit, threw you down. If the fall didn't kill you, then they took a big stone so big that it couldn't be lifted by only one person. The two witnesses who were the ones who testified against the person had to be heavy enough that only the two of them could pick it up, and they took it, dropped it on their head. And if that didn't kill you, then they'd throw other stones at you. That was skila. Srifa, oh boy, that is nasty. Instead of like torching you like the old church in the Auto de Fe used to do, used to open up your mouth and pour like molten lead down your throat. Not nice. Hereg, chopped your head off. They didn't even have a guillotine. How primitive. And again, Hennick, they would literally just put a rope and pull it. But again, none of this ever happened. These are the descriptions, and they're pretty nasty if you think about it. But none of it ever happened. No one. We have no record. Go through all Judaic literature. And what kind of biblical death penalties? We had the guy who was picking up sticks in the days of Moses in the book of Numbers. He got stoned, right? But, the person who blasphemed in the name of God, other things. But, don't get crazy with this kind of stuff. But recognize that each of these 4 methods were corresponding to the 4 energetic imbalances corresponding to the 4 worlds. The 4 worlds, remember, they're not actually places, they're levels of energy. Whenever we're referring to a world, an olam, we're referring to energetic levels. The 4 energetic levels, is it curious that we have 4 energy fields in the world today? We have, the strong nuclear and the weak nuclear, the gravitational and the electromagnetic. And we have the 4 letters of God's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. We have the 4 worlds, Atzilut, Birya, Yitzirah, Siyah. What does it all mean? You have these 4 patterns of energy that correlate to us. Physical, emotional, mental, intuitive. In each of these 4 areas, we generate energetic fields. My psychic intuitive side, yours too, vibrates energy based upon our state of calibration with the greater universe. That's usually in the unconscious or subconscious. I'm not even aware of it because we said it's that makif. It has its own energy calibration based upon everything else. The intellect. That's that makif realm, that's what we call atzilut. The intellectual realm, that's what we call beri'ah. That's in your mind. Your thoughts, your ideas. That's what you're using like right now to pay attention to me. And then the next level is your emotions, your feelings. That's called the yitziratic level. And of course, our actions. That's called the asiatic level. We can do bad actions, mess things up at a certain level. We can do emotional stuff, which messes things at an even deeper level. And if it's predicated and based upon improper or imbalanced thought, that even penetrates at an even deeper level. And if someone at that psychic intuitive is channeling and twisting and turning energies, manipulating, that blemishes at even the highest level. So, if we're going to talk about, in quote, surrender to heaven, that means that any and every element and aspect of ourselves that's causing this imbalance, we need to be able to completely surrender and detach from our attachments to all of these imbalances and allow, in quote, nature to take its course and to bring rebalance. That is the surrender that we intend, mechaven, when we say that word be'ahava, in love. That's what love is. Complete letting go and letting be what needs to be. So, when we perform this, here, I'm going to read to you this line here across the top. It states here, Yechaven limsur atzmo al kiddush Hashem ula'alot nishmato leman lehechal ahaba de kodesh hakodeshim de zad b'riah. It means contemplate that you are surrendering yourself for the sake of we call it Kiddush Hashem, the glory of God. How is it the glory of God that you surrender yourself? Well, this has always been a great issue we call martyrs. Why does a person die as a martyr? The people, in the Holocaust, martyrs and throughout all the years, right? When you have principles and you truly and firmly believe in those principles, and someone proverbially or literally puts that gun to your head and say, violate your principles, do this actions, what do you say? Well, which is more important, my life or my principles? Well, of course, my life. Heck with the principles. I mean, I don't want to die, so they put the gun to my head and say, I want you to kill somebody, or I want you to do immorality or commit idolatry. So yeah, sure, why not? As long as I'm alive, right? Really? Your principles are so shallow that you're willing to do anything for the sake of your own skin? Countless millions of people around the world, of all religions, of all faiths, of all cultures, everywhere, have stood by the principles that they believe in and will die for them. That is an expression of honor. That's what we call Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name. And by doing so, we say that we raise our soul, our neshama, as what's called ma'im nokbin, man. Man, ma'im nokbin, feminine waters, is the state of the energy that's given to us, which again, rather than dissipate to the universe, we allow it to be focused by the power of our concentration, our intent, our kavanah, to ascend into the higher dimensional realms, so as to create like an umbrella influx, in which all energetic imbalances can hopefully be restored. So this energy is said to ascend above to a place called the Palace of Love. And this Palace of Love is part and parcel of that which we call the supernal Holy of Holies. The Palace of Love and the supernal Holy of Holies. Remember this little symbolic metaphor of the upper or the supernal human, Za, in the world of Beri'ah, which is the realm of the Neshama soul. The highest realm that we can still cognize within the mind. So therefore, whatever we are doing, the intent, again, is specifically rectify and realign everything that's messed up. That's the essence of it. So when you recite the word in prayer, be'ahava, take a moment, pause, as if to just think the thought, or if you need to, whisper the words. God, universe, I know I've messed up. I give it all up to you. Everything that I am, I surrender to the greater whole of the cosmic universe for the sake that everything could be realigned and rebalanced in the supernal higher pattern of things, which we call Za. Now, that's the general kavanah of what we've just described. How do we do that in details? Right? We said there are all these different levels. Well, that's where we get into the details here. Again, here's our picture. You need, obviously, to have the book. All right? By the way, for those of you once you learn this, and you can look at it, this is the Shiviti that we have for sale. All right, we have the big ones there, is available for donations. Look all the way at the bottom. There's our Arba Mitot Beit right there. And I put it there specifically so you can look at it and recognize exactly what it is. Like I said, like a photograph. It's not like you're reading things. But let's go through it and let's understand what it is. Because once we understand this, we will be able to do it. And again, this is not an academic lesson. This is for the sake of you being able to do this. We are, first of all, rectifying energy. What energy? The universal energy. What universal energy? What are we talking about? Didn't I just say to you that the universal energy is universal? There's nothing wrong with it. It's our perceptions of it that are skewered. It is our relationship with it that is skewered. But the universe itself is fine. It's just the reality. The universe and everything in it, nature, in Hebrew Hateva, the numerical value of the Hebrew name of God, Elohim. But that name which corresponds to our humanity, this supernal man, this Zah, that is the source of human consciousness which interacts with the universe, that is the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, the one that we say in the Shiviti. But remember, our human experience with God is perceived in those 4 different levels like we just described. The physical level, the emotional level, the mental level, and the intuitive psychic level. When we seek out to experience the divine in the universe, people have different personalities, different strokes for different folks. If any of you have ever actually studied the Torah in a Judaic fashion, you will come across everywhere different types of people's personalities. Some people will absolutely love to study the Chumash, Rashi. Others, all they want to study all day long is halakha. Others, all they want to study all day long is Musar, stuff like that. Others, all they want to study is Gemara, more rational, analytical. And others, all they want is Kabbalah, mysticism. And these are different personalities, or we call different soul origins. No one's better than anyone else. No one's higher or lower. It's just different. Some people like to wear a white shirt. Some people like to wear a blue shirt, or a red shirt, or a green shirt, or a black shirt. Different strokes. That's why we have what's called the different ways of understanding Torah. And when we come now to approach God as we experience God as the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, we must recognize that God is experienced in each of these 4. So what Chaim Vital did, and it's based on earlier works in the Zohar, is take the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei and write it in 4 different forms, each with a numerical different value, so as to indicate one of these levels. The 4 levels, again, you get this all out of my book, Walking in the Fire and stuff like that. They're called in Hebrew Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ben. Those aren't holy names. Those are numbers. Ab, Ayin, Bet is 72. Sag is Samech Gimel 63. Mem, or Ma, is Mem Hey 45. And Ben Nun is 52. The different ways in which the name of God is written. Not going to get into the details of it right now because that's irrelevant for our purpose. But our purpose in surrendering to God is so that the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, all of its levels, can be properly aligned within human consciousness, because that is the way we perceive the universe, and everything gets balanced again. All energies that we have within us, all things that we have, because remember, you and I, we might not be idolaters, adulterers, murderers, or anything of the kind. But again, we think in such limited context. Why? Because you and I are not individuals. We are cells of a greater whole, of a greater body. So as long as somebody out there is an idolater, an adulterer, or a murderer, well, somehow, somewhere through the whole grapevine of the connection of all souls, so are we. That's just, I know it sucks, doesn't it? But it's true. So just like the negative can have an influence upon us, we can create the positive to have an influence back on them. That's what Yehud, unity, union is all about. We have that psychic power to project into the collective the positive. Again, that's the whole purpose of prayer, creating the reality of that which we recite. So, corresponding to those four levels, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the psychic. People call it spiritual, but I don't like that word spiritual because it really doesn't mean anything. You have the imbalances, which are represented by the four forms of the death penalty. The skila, skrifa, hereg, and heneg, which again are the stoning, the burning, the decapitation, and the strangulation. No one's doing any of that weirdo stuff in any physical way. Please don't try to put a rope around your neck. Please don't try to burn yourself or hit yourself with a rock. Please, I beg you, don't take any of this literally. All right? I don't want to have to call the psychiatrists and have you put into a hospital because you're doing dumb, stupid stuff. All right? Let's just remember when we're talking poetry, metaphor, let's stay in the proper form. We want to realign the energies. The energies at the level that we understand this physical world. We call God in this physical world by the name Adonai. Don't we recite in the prayers, Baruch Atah Adonai? We never say Baruch Atah Havaya. We never say Baruch Atah Yud Kei Vav Kei. It is said that the name Adonai is like the sheath wherein which Yud Kei Vav Kei is concealed. And if you remember from all the prayers, we discussed this already. We always take the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, you can see it right there. We knit it together with Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. When we did the the Shiviti classes and stuff, we talked all about that, and of course, I describe all of this in Walking in the Fire. If you look at a traditional Sephardic prayer book, you will always see the name of God in prayer, Baruch Atah, and it always says Yud Kei Vav Kei, and then underneath the final Hey, here it's a little garbled here, but I'll show it to you. You see they have the letters of Adonai, all right? Because Adonai is the name of God at the lowest level. The lowest level corresponds to the letter Hey of God's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. So we have to take that name of the lower level, Adonai, and merge it in consciousness with the higher name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Havaya. How do we do that? Simply by a thought in our head, recognizing that there is lower energy vibration and higher energy vibration. All right, you can call it male and female. You can call it the union of Tiferet and Malchut or Zah and Denok. It's all the same metaphor. For that matter, you can even throw in the Oriental symbols and call it yin and yang. It's all the same. All right, don't get this ethnic stuff with me, please. Let's just understand the reality of the nature of energy. You can call it the revealed and the concealed, the inner and the outer, the conscious, the subconscious, all the different metaphors, whatever it applies. Our job is to merge the two. Here you see the name Yud, Kei, Vav, Kei, and there's Adonai, Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud. Our job is to take this name, merge together with that name. How do we do that? How is it done? Well, obviously, you can think about it in your head, and by creating the image in your mind, you're creating the reality of it. But we take it one step further, and we recognize that the two lower forms below have their source in a singular above. And that singular is the name Ehyeh. Remember the burning bush? Moses asked God, all right, you're sending me to your children Israel, and they're going to ask, like, what's your name? What should I tell them? Tom, Dick, Harry, Reuben, Shimon, Levi? And he says, tell them Ehyeh sent you. And then Ehyeh says, I am Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. It's kind of confusing because you say your name's one thing and you give something else. The name Ehyeh, Aleph Hey Yud Hey, means I will be. Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, I will be what I will be. This is the nature of the divine at that psychic higher level, prior to its, if you will, collapse into a singularity of perception that we human beings can embrace. Ehyeh is like up here, above us, outside of us. It's like that highest level of the surrounding light. That highest level of the surrounding light has to congeal itself into a form which is our source. And that's the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is, again, we say we're created in the image of God. We're created in the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and Elohim, which is in this case also represented by Adonai. So we have the three names. Ehyeh at one level, Adonai at the bottom level, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei at the second level, Ehyeh at the third level. Don't let this confuse you. Just take it easy. Go over these concepts, these symbols, and a review, kind of like, review in the form of martial arts. Takes a little time to get it right. And once you do, second nature works just fine. Patience with yourself. So how this works is like this. Each of the four levels need to be rectified. Each of God's names, Adonai, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Ehyeh, need to be knitted together as the energy goes up. So the first level of energy, the highest level here, we call the skila level, right? This is the highest, the psychic level. This is where the highest blemish is. So how do we tap into that? How do we align it? We take the first letter of God's name. Remember, each of the letters is a code in itself. We covered this in a previous lesson as well. We take the highest level of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei with the highest level of Adonai. We merge them together. It says here, Liyah Hadam Al Yedei, to join them together by the highest level of that name, Ehyeh. The Yud of this, of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the Aleph of Adonai, is merged together by the power of the Aleph of Ehyeh. What for? To rectify that highest perception of God's name called Ab, that highest psychic level. So, this line, I'm just remembering, just thinking the highest level, merging all the levels to fix that, reunite, realign energetically. That's the surrender that I'm doing with the word Be'ahava. The next, the level of the burning, corresponding to the intellectual mind. The second letter of God's name, Hey, the second letter of Adonai. I'm bringing those two together by that power of the second letter of Ehyeh to rectify that Sag level, which is the name corresponding to the intellectual mind. The third level, again, corresponding to decapitation, corresponding to the letter Vav and Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Nun and Adonai, merging those two together, raising the energies from the lowest level to the higher level to the highest level to rectify the name of Ma, this name here. And then finally, the final letter Hey, the final letter actually is the Henek level. Final letter Hey, which was said with the name Adonai written in it. Merge it with the Yud of Adonai itself by the power of the final Hey, and that rectifies the lower level Ben, the final name. Yeah. I just described the whole system to you. Now, all of this, like I said, you could sit there and say, okay, line one, I go across like this, line two, I go like this. Remember I said, yeah, if you need to do that until you memorize it, then you do what you got to do. But once you memorize it, Like you see here, I'm looking at it. It's a picture. This is not a script. This is not something you read. It's a picture. The entire idea, like it says up in the little word above, is to contemplate surrendering yourself, to allow your soul to rise up to the place of bonding, love, in the Holy of Holies for the supernal human being. Right? It says Zah, which is Zeranpin, the small face of the world of Biriyah. That's the higher human being in that respect. All of this is simply a kavanah, a focus. That when I recite the words of the Amidah, and I want to create the reality of what I speak, then how I do it is very simply by first opening myself up to be a vessel and to allow the energy of the universe to flow through me. When the energy of the universe, call it God, is flowing through me, then I become a moving vehicle. Because my physical body, I'm physical, and I'm moving the energy, and that makes a moving vessel, vehicle. And you know, we call that moving vehicle in Hebrew, don't you? A merkava. And that's why doing this type of sacrifice of spirit and energy work is called ma'aseh, merkava, the work of the chariot. This is the real secret of the prophetic path. So you see, the system of Chaim Vital, later embraced by Rashash, and you see in the Ramchal, and Rabbi Shapsky, and all these other, the other Siddurim that have these meditative prayers in it. All of this is not things for you to read. They're just concepts and ideas, kavanot, so that your mind is transforming and elevating to see the energetic patterns of the universe, as opposed to being deceived by the facade of that which we see. So when you come to pray and you look at all these words in the prayers, you ever see the Shacharit service of that would Orthodox Torah observant Jews pray every morning? Oh my goodness, 100 pages long. I have, in Walking in the Fire, the entire Kabbalistic pyramid, the entire meditative process of what this system means. Go look and see for yourself. And once you get it, like learning Tai Chi Chuan, you learn the moves, and then as you learn the moves, you could feel the energy, and as you feel the energy, it takes on a life of its own, and you are actually interacting with every breath, with the energy of the universe. And when you're reciting the blessings, Rafa'enu Hashem Menerape, right? Salah Lanu Avinu, all these things, heal me Hashem, forgive me Hashem, you are actually creating the reality of the words you seek. That is why we say the words Baruch Atah Adonai. It does not mean thank you, God. If I was to say thank you, God, I would say Todah Hashem, thank you. But we say Baruch Atah, blessed are you. What the heck does that mean? What is a blessing? The word baracha means an abundance of energy. We become the Merkava, the conduit, in which the abundance of energy is projected out into the universe, into the name Yud Ke Vav Ke, which again is the source of the higher of the humanity itself. And we are projecting into the higher so it could trickle down to the lower, creating the realities of the things that we seek. That is the purpose and intent of these kavanot. Okay, I could go on in this, but I'm looking at the time. I see we got about maybe 6 minutes left here. So I'm going to cut it short because sometimes less is more. And I know I've covered a lot, but again, if you have the book, again, pages 267, 68, 69, 70, 71, it doesn't take many. You can read the concepts. It's all in the book, all obviously in English. And it will enable you to look at the picture and look and recognize the picture for what it is. And if you could do that, you got it right. This is actually one of the big issues in modern Kabbalistic stuff. Like I said earlier, some people come to Kabbalah today in a wrong way. They come to look at this in an academic, philosophical way, and they start like reading the lines in the prayer book, and it takes them forever to pray. They're doing things in the wrong way. Again, like the Ben Ish Hai, Rabbi Yosef Chaim of Baghdad would say, they said about him that he would pray like a young child, meaning innocent, meaning simply, because he recognized the nature of the pictorial meat and purposes of all these names. So when you look at all these kavanot, you recognize again flow of energy. You know how the flow of energy is supposed to go, and you just let it go. This is the secret of power prayer. So again, first thing we begin, before we begin to manipulate and alter the energies of the universe to the Amidah, we have to be in a position of surrender so that those energies can work and flow through us. That is Be'ahava. Remember the word ahava, love, is also the gematria of the numerical value of ehad, unity. That's what we seek to do in all of these things. Okay, on that note, I'm going to conclude. If anybody has any comments or questions in the couple of minutes that we have left, now would be the time to ask. Again, I can see scrolling here. So if anybody has anything to say or comment, this is the time to do it. Again, if you go on our website right now, like I said beginning, for all people, all of our courses at this time are until Hanukkah, for Hanukkah, 20% off. If you're a member of our school, a monthly support at the $50 donation level, a monthly donation level, 50% off. I'll give you half off. I want people to study. That's what it's about. My books, unfortunately, I cannot give. My books are sold on Amazon, so I don't control Amazon's pricings. You should have Walking in the Fire. For Wednesday night, we have Protection from Evil. That's only available right now in ebook, and that's available as well. The Shivitis. All right, we got the big ones, like you can see over my left shoulder there, of the menorah, of financial blessings, as well as for protection. All of these available for donations. Check them out. All right, I know they're of value to you, but you got to see that too. All right, I don't see any comments. Scrolling, nothing. Cool and groovy. Okay, makes my job easier. So let's call it a night. Blessings to everybody. Great week. And Be'ezat Hashem, I'll see you all online. We got a whole bunch of good stuff coming up during the week. Like I said, Protection from Evil will be on Wednesday night. And you guys who are private students, just today, I sent out lesson 7 in the mind expansion meditation. We went through the whole system of the klipot, going through the klipot and the 4 went into the parties. We do a whole bunch of good stuff for our regular supporting student body. If you're interested, like I said, you really want to learn, come join us. We're here for you. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to call it a night then. Thank you again all for joining me. Ariel Bar Tzadok, KosherTorah School, wishing you all blessings. And thank you again. We'll see you all next time. Kol Tuv. Shalom.